Hello, Tracy here with a layout share of some of my recent pages. I will not be sharing my Project Life pages in here because I do Project Life flip throughs in their own separate videos, but these are all of my 12 by 12 layouts that I've made recently. My 12 by 12 layout pacing has slowed down for 2025 as I really am loving Project Life. I will always be a 12 by 12 gal, and I really do love the process of making 12 by 12 pages, but I really love having a Project Life. And so my family tends to look at it more, and I find it more enjoyable to look at my own self as well. So these are the pages that I've made for most of 2025. There's a handful of pages in there from January, but these are from March-ish to June of 2025. Now, this top one, I'm going to spend a little bit more time walking you through because I actually don't have a process video for this one, which is a real shame because I included how I made this title using my Silhouette software, and I was really looking forward to sharing the process with you. But then I realized when I live streamed it for my tiaras over in our Patreon community, I actually didn't click the button to record it. I only live streamed it. So I don't have the footage for this one. If you really want to see it, you can actually join my Patreon for as low as $2 a month. And you can check out all of the real time videos for all of these. You can join just for 1 month. Thank you if you do decide to do that. But if you don't, all of my process videos are always 100% free over here on YouTube, except this one because I couldn't for this one. So for the rest of these all have process videos that you can see. They're edited and hopefully relatively clear and easy to follow. I know some people do really enjoy scrapping along with me live or even watching the archived versions where I just have a lot more time to explain and show what I'm doing and talk about little things along the way. So that's that. Let's move on for this video. So this one is called Booza, and it is about Syrian ice cream, and I created this one in my Silhouette Studio software. So that's something I don't typically do, but when I'm making a title like this, I knew I wanted to layer the word Booza with some patterned paper. And so I didn't know what font I wanted to use. I didn't know how big or small it would be. Actually, at first it was quite a bit smaller. And then I had the idea of what if we made it giant, and how fun would that be? Whenever I cut a file using Silhouette, I like to pull in empty rectangles that would signify the size of my photos. So I knew I had a square photo, and at that point I thought I would have a 4x6. This is actually 2 by 4.5, I think. Or it's 3 by 4.5. Yeah, it's 3 by 4.5. This one is 3 by 3. So what I did was I made a square and I made a rectangle, and then I played around with the sizing of this so that I could know how big it would be both on a 12 by 12 page, because my canvas on Silhouette Studio is 12 by 12, so I knew how big it would be, but also relative to the photos. And sometimes I'll bring in a block that says journaling if I have a sense of what size my journaling will be. So that's just a tip that I have for if you do use Silhouette Studio to make these cut files. You might as well just see how it's going to look with some of the elements that you know you'll be using on the page, because I would have never printed this up at this size if I didn't know how it would look next to these photos. I've been doing that for the past several times I've used my Silhouette Cameo, and it's a game changer. So that's my tip for you there. This layout was a lot of fun to make. I used the Ali Edwards questions and answers kit, and also some items from my stash. And a lot of the items from my stash ended up being Ali Edwards stuff anyways, not on purpose, but that's just the way that it turned out. These plus pieces of plastic here, they're little black acetate cut into pluses. A whole set of those, I'm pretty sure they came with a previous Ali Edwards kit. They could have been from Studio Calico, but I am 90% sure they were Ali Edwards. And these chipboard pieces were mostly all from old Ali Edwards kits, and this tab here was also definitely from an Ali Edwards kit as well. This was a printable I had from Ali Edwards as well that I had already printed. I didn't print it for this page, and it was in my stash, so I grabbed that because it works well with these colors. And then these numbers came in the question and answer kit as well. And I thought that these numbers, these are actually, I'll show you what I have here. If you've watched any of my process videos, for Project Life in particular, you might have seen me using these. These are digital files from Ali Edwards that I purchased. I think they came in a kit that I bought, and I cut them out onto matte sticker paper. This is Avery sticker paper. And then I cut it into, my mistake was that I cut it and then I ran it through my brother's Scan and Cut and kiss cut the stickers so that I have my own little Elva stickers. I was working out the details on how deep I needed to cut it, and obviously they're not in the best shape because of that. But I learned some lessons, and the next time I do something like this, I think I'll do an even better job, I hope. So I used the stickers from this set. This is Ali Edwards as well. And I thought that they were the same numbers, but in retrospect, they're not. If you look close enough, you can tell that they're not. But they look similar enough that they kind of line up. And yeah, if you had the digital version of this kit, you would have gotten these numbers and you could have done the same thing with the exact same numbers, but I just wanted to use what I had on hand. I didn't want to go printing up extra stuff. This is a die cut that came in the kit, and this is a die cut that came in the kit. This is also a die cut that came in the kit. So this heart had another phrase on it, but I didn't like that. It wasn't relevant to the story I was telling, so I covered it up with this one. This was a larger heart. I cut it down by hand. You can tell it's a little bit hand cut looking, and then I also matted it on white cardstock so that it would match and repeat the look of this heart over here. I repeated these 3 asterisks, the 3 chipboard asterisks, and also the 3 chipboard arrows and the 3 cardstock asterisks as well. And then I also repeated the pluses in those 3 places. So this is a very, what I would consider a classically designed, like very much following the design rules of repetition and rule of 3s and the visual triangle and all of those sorts of things. So it's, I find that when you do a page in that formulaic manner, it's almost soothing. Like it's just a matter of, solving a little puzzle and putting it all together, and then it looks great at the end. I added this secondary cluster up at the top that allowed me to tell a little bit more of my story. I was actually planning to tell my story differently. I had some journaling typed up, but I just changed it to accommodate for the who, when, where, why, what, and whatever else is there, so that I could use this card. I liked how this card picked up on the yellow right here. I did as good a job I could of repeating colors as well, so that if anything shows up in one place, it's at least in one other place. And yeah, then the other thing that I did was I customized this asterisk. It was one of these colored, I forget what color it was, it might have been blue. And I just used a marker to make it black because I felt like these bold plus signs really needed something bold and black up here, but I didn't want it to be another plus sign because that would make 4, and that would be okay. There's no problem with putting 4, but I liked the idea of using an asterisk up there too. I think that I could have even cut that down a little bit and made it a tiny bit smaller. I think it would have balanced the page a little bit better, but I do like the boldness of having that giant asterisk up there. So we're good. The other thing that I would have really liked on this page would have been a little bit of black splatter in these 3 corners. I decided against it because I actually really liked this clean, crisp look that this page has, especially compared to some of my other pages that have more splatter that are coming up. This background paper, by the way, oh, I love it. It's so beautiful, and I'm so happy that I got to use it right off the bat. This is the first page I've used with this kit. I did have to sacrifice this page, which I was really looking forward to figuring out how to use this. I was going to cut them up into 4x6s and maybe put them in my Project Life, or even have like a strip of 3 of them and use those and then use this for the back paper or something. I really wish that you had the option to get extra pattern paper in her scrapbooking kits, but you don't. These are the storyteller kits, by the way, that I've actually subscribed to them. And it comes with a combination of 12 by 12 products and 6 by 8 products, as well as 4 by 6 and 3 by 4. I think there's 3 by 4 in there. I'm pretty sure. Anyhow, this is the page. I had a lot of fun making it. It's what I did this past weekend. And yeah, it was like I said, it was a lot of fun. This paper, by the way, inside of the Booza letters, that is also one of the Ali Edwards papers that came in the storyteller kit, the Q&A storyteller kit. So yeah, that was fun. Plus we love Syrian ice cream, so a page about Syrian ice cream is always a good thing. I'm gonna just stack these until I get back to then I'll know I'm done when I get back to the Booza layout. So then these are in reverse order. So the second last page I did was this one. There is a process video on my channel about this, but depending on when you get this, it might not be live yet. For this one, I had a lot of fun. I used the, what was it? The potpourri kit from Pretty Little Studios. And also these are some wood veneer from my stash that I painted black. These are die cuts from my stash. I cut these out from dies from my card making supplies. And then this is the amazing classic Cal Bertaschi font from Amy Tangerine. I have a couple of sets of this in my stash, so I was really happy to get those on the page. I love that look. And yeah, this was just kind of like a classic grid pattern with photos and journaling and title all in their little boxes. It's another kind of standard approach. It's kind of interesting that my last two layouts that I did were kind of these classic approaches to scrapbooking. I really like going back to those standards. In this one, I have these labels here to anchor the other embellishments that go in these two clusters, and then these speech bubbles here serve as a third cluster as well. So I'll show this one up close. And again, the process video is on my channel if you want to check that out. That snail is so cute. I just love him. So glad I got to use him as well. This is the layout I made before that one. And wow, this one is very pale in comparison to the other two. Just a different color scheme, right? These two would look nice together, actually. This one is from the Here Comes the Sun collection from Pretty Little Studios. Both of these collections are very, very old. I think they're from 2016 or 2017. I pulled them out and I've been having a lot of fun using these older supplies. And I find that these Pretty Little Studio ones, at least these collections, have a real classic look to them. Beautiful watercolor illustrations never go out of style. So it's great to go looking in your stash for some of the older collections you might have and breathe new life into them. For this one, I cut 3 different pattern paper into little squares. I think they're 2-inch squares. Yeah, little 2-inch squares. Then I distressed each of them, outlined each of them, and put them in a grid in like a mosaic kind of a format on my background paper. I was careful to not make it too lined up. I wanted it to have a little bit of a loosey-goosey kind of a look to it. I added embellishments from the kit, put my title on here in a combination of a die cut and the letter stickers that came in the kit. I went wild with the flare badges because there's just so many. So that's this one. I added the stars just to add a little bit of contrast to this one. And I'm really glad I did in retrospect because this page would otherwise have a pretty washed out look. It's very, very pale and pastel-y. Also changed the photo to black and white so that the colors of the collection would really stand out in this one. This is another one that I did with a diagonal design. I think the next two are both diagonals. Yeah. So this one I did a diagonal design where I just basically lopped a piece of pattern paper in half on the diagonal. And then I just added a bunch of die cut flowers. These are all from the same die cut set. I'm pretty sure they were from Pink Fresh Studio. They may or may not have come in an MTK kit. Before I glued it all down, I just drew a pencil line down the center so that I could know where exactly that diagonal was. And then I used some gelatos. I'm pretty sure it was gelatos. Was it gelatos on this one? I think it was gelatos on this one. I think I used mists on this one. And I just would add some water to the mist to get a bit of a watercolory look to it. And I used a packaging technique. I used a paintbrush. I used some splatter, just a bunch of different things to make this paper have some of the colors that I knew would be in the florals that I'd be adding later. And then I just put it all together and it was pretty fun. I really like the splatters on this one, especially those bright yellow splatters really pick up on the colors in this page. And this title was inspired. It was actually not just inspired, it was given to me by one of my tiaras over in our Patreon community, Harmony. Actually, it might not have been Harmony. Harmony comes up with a lot of my titles. I don't think she came up with this one though. I have a lot of help with my titles over there, so kudos to the Patreons because I think my titles would be pretty boring without them. Sometimes I come up with good titles, but I can always count on a tiara to help me with that. This is a combination of letter stickers from my stash. These ones I think were Hip Kit Club, and these, I can't remember what they were, but you can check out the video if you have a burning desire to know what those are. And this page documents our marathon. I did not run, I walked, but these folks ran in the 5K. The last one I have to share with you was the longest ago one that I scrapped. And this one is called Sophie and Sophia. And this one, it was a lot of fun to do. It was another diagonal one. This time I cut my paper not quite in half so that I had a little piece here. I ended up using part of what was left over to cap off this corner here. And then I used some gelatos and mixed media for this part here. I think I used a combination of splatters and the packaging technique for that. Added some letter stickers. This one was mostly from the last MTK kit, which was called Fabulous. And I also have a couple of things from Cocoa Daisy on here too. This is from some washi tape from Cocoa Daisy. That might be the only thing. I think the rest of it is all from the kit. This Atlantic little thing is another little embellishment I had in my stash as well. So it's not from the kit either. I added some thread to this one just to give it a little bit more of a whimsical feel. And so that is that. Now, I will let you know that because I know some of you are interested in how I'm keeping these layouts now that I don't have albums anymore. That's right, I got rid of all my albums, and if you want to see me talk about that, I will leave a link to that video right up here. I keep them in these boxes. These are IKEA boxes. I have a whole video that shows you how I do that. And because this box, I recently took the old box upstairs, it was full, so I recently started another box. I only have this many layouts in it. I do like to check my box before I add my layouts to page protectors just to make sure that I don't have one page protector here that only has one layout in it, because then it can go in there. So each of these has two, I believe, so we can just go right to town with this. This is just a little half-size 12 by 12 case that I keep in here until there's enough of these that I don't need that anymore. Because I make videos, I already have pictures of all of these layouts. If you've watched my other video, you will know that I do print up an index page of my layouts as well. So rather than doing that whole index page at the end, what I like to do is make sure that my index is up to date as I put these into the box. So I'll do a few things and I'll just walk you through what my process is. So the first step is I put them all into page protectors, which I have done here. I just cut out most of that. And then I head over to my Photos app. This is my Box 8 album in my Photos app, which is where I have, this is my new box. So this is the box that I just showed you. And these are the contents of it. And then every time I make a new layout, I just make sure that the square image of the layout also gets dropped into this box. And I have a little place in my workflow where I check that off to make sure that I don't miss any. So this should always be up to date. And the ones that have numbers are the ones that are already in the box. So I know that these are already in the box. This one doesn't, I made a mistake there and put a number on there when I shouldn't have. So that one has a weird name, but usually all the new ones are going to be up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one is 5. So I have 5 layouts here to add to my box. And it's super easy. In fact, if I wasn't doing a video about it, it would be done already. Basically, all that I do is I see what the last number is, 0753. The next page is actually this one, so I'm going to call it 0754, just like that, and it automatically organizes itself. The back side of that is this one, which is 0755. The next one is the Booza one, which is 0756. The next one after that is the 20 years one, which is 0757. And then we have 0758. There we go. So now this is completely up to date. The last thing that I do is I just take a permanent marker. So this one will do. A Sharpie marker would do as well. And I just put those numbers on the tops of this. So for this one is 0754. So 0754. Then the next one goes without saying that it's 0755, but I don't need to number it because it's in the same pocket, right? So then the next one is Booza, which is 0756. None of these are doubles, so none of them need to be tied together. That's it. She's done. Until the next time that I do one of these layout share videos. So these just go into this box just like that. Is that how I'm doing it? Yeah, no, I put them back here. There we go. So I just wanted to show that I do put this box inside of this box because this one is nicer. So I put this one and I just go like this. It's a little bit hard with my camera there, but there we go. Just like that, they fit perfectly. And then where I put it is right over here. Ta-da! All done for another 3 or 4 months. So thanks for watching and have a really great scrappy week.